A lot of attention around Caitlin Clark to start off this season. Definitely been having to earn her keep. Um, definitely been getting, definitely been getting beat up out there on the court. Do I think any of it has been malicious? No, I think that just comes with the territory of one being a rookie and two getting acclimated to a whole nother game style and speed on a nightly basis. Um, I don't think nobody I like when you like um what's happened to Caitlin Clark, her taking hard shots. These are things that like we've seen it happen to Angel Reese, and I would also say it's happening to other rookies. The spotlight just isn't as big on them, or those games aren't being as televised. When you think about the hit with Kennedy Carter, I know Caitlin had took a real tough shot on the screen against the Liberty. Um, she was going back and forth with somebody from the Storm and like all of that. Like, despite all of that, one, despite the WNBA sending the Fever through a gauntlet, despite them sending them through a gauntlet, the Indiana Fever were the first team this season to reach 10 games played, right? Uh, in that 10 game stretch, they had back to backs. And despite from when she lost the championship, that quick turnover to have to be drafted, then you add on to just, all the publicity, all the media runs she's had to do, all the babies she's had to kiss. You don't have that long of an off season you don't have that long of a training camp with your basketball team for y'all to develop chemistry and so on and so forth. Despite all of that hoopla, all of that madness, Caitlin Clark has come out of the fire averaging 16, 5, and 6. Again, to put that into perspective, despite all the media attention, whether for better or for worse, all the tough fouls and hits she been getting, the crazy hectic schedule that the WNBA put the Fever on, despite all of that, Caitlin is averaging 16 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists a game. Also added to the 5 turnovers. Again, that's just gonna come with the territory as she develops and figure out the chemistry with her teammates. And she's still playing the same way she played in college. Ain't nothing changed about her game. And if you really watching her, what I love about her the most is that like she is certified, like she's a hooper. Like she's not gonna back down. She gonna still talk her shit. Um, you know, she gonna talk to the refs. So she be talking to the refs as if she a vet and she like demands calls or whatever the case may be. But yeah, man, like I don't think that's the conversation that's being had enough. It's just like, yo, despite everything she been going through, like, bro, she's still averaging 16 points a game, bro, giving you 5 boards and 6 assists, dog. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you want to hang her and shoot her for the turnovers, I mean, go right ahead. But like, all signs point in a positive trajectory for Caitlin Clark to be a superstar in this league. Now, obviously, at some point, which is a question to put on the table, how long can the WNBA sustain the viewership if Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever are not winning games? Because right now it's looking ugly. the Fever only got 3 games under their belt. They're 3-9, so through 12 games. But Caitlin Clark gonna be fine, bro. Like she's a star. You got some people who like it. You got some people who don't. I love Caitlin Clark game. People would like to argue, about the growth of the game, and like it's not just because Caitlin Clark, but you got other players who've laid the foundation, and other players who have done this, and other players who have done that. Like all that could be true. Caitlin Clark isn't the sole reason for where the game is going, because you definitely, you got to pay your respects to the OGs who laid the foundation. And you have to, pay, um, respects to players who are currently in college. Your Paige Buckners, your Hannah Hidalgos, your Juju Watkins, your Angel Reese's, your Asia Wilson in college, your Aaliyah Boston's, your Don Staley's, and so you gotta, pay homage and give respect, to everybody who played a part. You can understand to a degree if some people, feel some type of way about like it being all about Caitlin, but understand the attention that has gone to Caitlin has been well fully earned. And Caitlin don't have attention for nothing she's done outside of the court. The attention is solely because of her greatness on the basketball court. Simple and plain, it's undeniable. We love Caitlin because of her greatness on the basketball court, and uh, that greatness at the college level has followed her well into the NBA. And as I said in the beginning, give you some stats for you to think about. That statement of her greatness and that attention following her from college to the pros isn't just a statement. It's like statistical data that you can't even argue with, that shows you like Caitlin's greatness has been earned, and it has continued to be at a high level, right? So um for viewership stake and numbers, as we talk about Caitlin Clark's greatness and what it's been like, since she's come into the league. Um, you've had 6 TV stations broadcast WNBA games, and when they broadcasted those WNBA games this season, they've had the most watched WNBA games on their broadcast station of all the years that they've been broadcasting WNBA games. And so, out of those 6 stations who've seen record viewership for broadcasting the WNBA game, Caitlin Clark were a part of 5 of those 6 games. So, again, like, that's not by accident that Caitlin Clark is a part of 5 of the most watched WNBA games for those particular those particular TV stations, which were ESPN. I'm trying to find it here on my phone. Here it go. ESPN2, ESPN, ABC, Ion, CBS, and NBA TV. The only game that Caitlin Clark wasn't a part of that was the most watched for a particular these particular TV stations was the Liberty versus the Lynx CBS game. So that's one testament to Caitlin Clark's numbers and viewership, right? Then we go to home attendance, right? Last season, the Indiana Fever had a total of 81,000 fans through 20 games of the home games. They had a total of 81,000 people show up all season to the home games. In the first 5 home games, the Indiana Fever have had a total of 85,000 people in attendance in just 5 games, surpassing what their total was last season through 20 games. I don't know. I mean, you tell me. I really think that has something to do with the Caitlin Clark effect. You feel me? So that's also not deniable, right? That's statistical data for you to argue with if you don't like it, right? I'm only giving you numbers that are true. This ain't made up, right? Emcstats, and I'm giving you the stats. You feel me? All right. Caitlin Clark is a part of the 4. She's had. There have been 4 games that have been the most viewed in 20 years of the WNBA. There have been 4 of them. Caitlin Clark has been a part of, excuse me, I'm sorry. The Fever have been a part of all four of those games. And this was not the case last year for the Fever, but a common denominator compared to last year and this year is the fact that Caitlin Clark are a part of all these stats for the Indiana Fever that they did not have last year. Her debut, Fever versus the Suns, she 2.1 million. Versus the Liberty, 1.7 million. Versus the Sun again, 1.56 million. And then, like I said earlier, when she met Angel Reese, they did 1.53. So the Caitlin Clark effect, I think is real. I don't think it's fake. And again, giving respect and homage to the OGs, you got to do that as well as the current players who will help them grow the game at the collegiate level. But let's not act like Caitlin Clark ain't a big reason this game is where it is. The numbers show that, but most importantly, her game shows us that. like people aren't crazy for being obsessed and like being attracted to the game of Caitlin Clark. This ain't like some makeshift like she really ain't really like all that good. Like no, she is as good as televised, and the numbers that she's put on the court has shown us that, and it's morphed into the viewership for the WNBA, which I would like for them to capitalize on. But I wonder if how long the viewership stays if the Indiana Fever are not winning, man. Another stat. Not Caitlin Clark. The Indiana Fever were a part of the largest WNBA game attendance since 1999 when they played the Fever. They recently played against the Washington Mystics, and they had a fan attendance of 20,333 people in the arena. That didn't happen for the Fever last year. But a player who wasn't on the team last year that you can maybe point to say like, well, why? And get this too, like the argument is going. Some people may try to argue, oh, the Mystics are good, bro. The Mystics are 0-12, dog. Like, ain't nobody trying to fill up the arena to see a team that's 0-12. I'm sorry, like, I could be wrong, unless you just a diehard Cowboy fan. Love you, Sedacious. Love you, my brother. Shout out to Uncle Boogie, Uncle Joe. uh, but like, yeah, like I say these numbers to say like, yo, the Caitlin Clark effect is real and it's well earned from what she's been able to do and show us on the court, bro. She dropped 20 points this season versus the Sun, the Liberty, and the Storm, who we've talked about earlier in the show. These are top teams in the league. These are high top teams in the league who she has dropped 20 points or more on. And then she got two 30-point games, one being against the Sparks, and she has another 30-point game against the Wizards. And so like Caitlin Clark is great. She's great and she's proven that she belongs in the league. And yeah, bro, like you can't hate on Caitlin Clark and what she's been what she's been able to do and what she's doing in this league, bro. I think she's gonna like I would like to believe she's gonna have a hell of a career. I don't know how the Fever is gonna turn this thing around. I hope they do so soon, but before they lose viewership. But again, even if the media ain't covering the WNBA at a high clip like they currently are, you can come to the Emcstats show, and we're gonna make sure we take care of you, keep you in tune with all things going on in the WNBA, man. And so going real quick, going back to Caitlin Clark's viewership, going back to her viewership, there are two games that I think people are not talking about, right? And so obviously with Kennedy Carter and Caitlin Clark and Kennedy Carter getting into it, they play again on June 16th. I think that June 16th game, you know, I think that June 16th game is going to be highly anticipated. I do. The Fever will be at home, you know, when they had, you know, all the media attention when they was on the road against Chicago. Chicago are going to come to Indiana. That game is going to, I think, do some numbers, as you're going to have not just Kennedy Carter and Caitlin Clark, but you're going to have Angel Reese going up, you know, her viewership, colliding with Caitlin Clark's viewership. So they may do another 1.5 or may set a record when they meet. But the other game that nobody's talking about, and I think this may be could have potential to break those other top four most watched games in the past 20 years in the WNBA is the game on June 30th where the Indiana Fever go up against the Phoenix Mercury. And why is that game supposed to be the game? Because that is the game where I would say the bet that kind of started that spearheaded the Caitlin Clark ain't about to come in here and just have her way and like she gonna have to earn it like we if it's you know she gonna have to come in here earn it and da 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 is the Diana Taurasi. Diana Taurasi kind of started, you know, started that yo like it's gonna be tough. We're gonna make it hard on this. We ain't fist a fold or bow down to you know whatever she thinks she about to do, and and when you talk about Caitlin Clark's debut of 2.1 million versus the Sun, when you talk about that being the most viewed game in 20 years, the record she broke was Diana Taurasi's debut, whereas Caitlin Clark had 2.1, but Diana Taurasi only had 1.4, and that's going to be like the true new school versus the old school, so to speak. And so yeah, I think that game is gonna really. I would be shocked if that game doesn't do big numbers. But I definitely think they're gonna be on Caitlin. I think they're gonna be on her head come that game. Um, but yeah, man. Yeah. It's been a great show. And I'm gonna just go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. We'll try to condense this down for y'all. Actually, I'm not. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this last portion off for the podcast. Um, as we're wrapping it up with Caitlin Clark.